Hello everyone, and a very warm welcome back to the Master of Business podcast. An exciting episode for you today, and I'll introduce myself. I'm hosting this podcast from Teesside University International Business School at our wonderful Teesside Aviation Skills Academy at Teesside International Airport. My name is Bev. I work at the business school. I work in the marketing and recruitment department, and I have the absolute pleasure of having a stellar cast today. We're interviewing the wonderful Chloe Hanlon, who is head of operations here at this wonderful facility. It's very busy at the moment with passengers just arriving, who is head of operations here at Teesside International Airport. Susanna, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, thank you very much, Bev. Yes, I'm Susanna Mead. I'm the aviation course leader and aviation sector lead at Teesside University. Pleasure to be here.
And Chloe, let me just have this pleasure of introducing you one other time formally.
You are too kind.
No, not really. Chloe and I and Susanna have known each other for quite some time now, and Chloe has been instrumental in helping this wonderful vision come to life really here at Teesside Airport for our students. Chloe, it's a real pleasure to be here with you today and interviewing you on behalf of this series, and our viewers would love to hear all about you, your role, what it is you get up to here at the airport, and how you can inspire myself and Susanna as fellow aviators. So we've got a couple of great questions for Chloe today, actually, and just please feel free to, expand, tell us a little bit about your job and so on.
I won't hold back.
Please
it's fantastic because we've got loads of passengers behind us and we can hear the hustle and bustle.
Yeah.
And I love it because, you guys are hot on the scene, you're here right next to the action. It's
We're ideally
even
located.
better.
Yeah, we're ideally located.
Yeah. Just to set the scene, really, actually, where we are, we're in the terminal building itself, and our students can interact with passengers, people that work here as well, and Chloe and Susanna have helped bring that to life. So on for the grilling, Chloe.
Yes,
let's start
go.
with the grilling. So we've got a couple of questions for you, really informal, but just tell us all about how it all started, and tell us a little bit about your career. How did you get into aviation?
So I think it's fair to say aviation wasn't really on my map. So when I was a child, I can't remember what I wanted to be as a child. And actually, I probably wasn't as fortunate as many children my age. I didn't actually step onto my first plane until I was 12, nearly 13.
Wow.
So for me, I'd never really even considered, I'd never been to an airport.
Wow.
And I remember my first holiday, I was very, very lucky. I got to go to Florida. I was 12, nearly 13. And I never ever forget, I was crying getting on the aircraft. I was scared, completely new environment for me. And I look back and laugh now, really, I guess. But I remember seeing the cabin crew on board, and I was absolutely in complete awe. I thought they were the absolute bee's knees, for lack of a better phrase. And the moment I got back, that was it. I was going to be cabin crew. I was going to travel the world, and really nothing was going to stop me. So I really pushed everything I could in my sort of education, high school, towards pursuing that career. I really pushed to get a language qualification because I thought that was the right direction to go in. I pushed for a travel and tourism course at my school, which they didn't offer. Really frustratingly, at the time, I was the only student in my year that was kind of pioneering that course, and there was nothing available for me. So sort of following my education, doing I guess the best that I could, I went off to college to do my cabin crew course, like many of my colleagues here at the airport did. And I was really, really fortunate. I was probably a little bit of a geek at college, it's fair to say. I threw myself into everything. I loved every part of every single module, and I jumped out of bed on a morning. Honestly, I see it in the students here now. When we come in and we do the talks, and the kid at the front of the class, that was me. I was all over it. Anything I could volunteer for, anything I could take part in, they could never shut me up. And that's not really changed. It's not really changed.
Tenacity is important, isn't it?
Susanna, I was so keen, and I think really that's probably what got me my first foot on the ladder, actually, because I was really fortunate at a company that's now known as Swissport, but was then Service Air, got in touch with our tutors and said, look, we're after a couple of students, and can you recommend any? And they put my name forward, and thank God they did. I went to an interview so nervous, and I got my first job on check-in, and it was just the best thing. To that point, it was the best thing that had ever sort of happened to me, really. And I just loved it. The moment I stepped foot in the airport, I knew it was my place. And from there, there's probably not many areas of the airport I haven't touched, because again, that desire for knowledge, I'm so keen. Like, I don't just want to know what I'm doing, I want to know what my colleagues doing and what they're working on, and how I can help. And since then I've really not stopped.
It's about creating aviators, rather than just people who work in aviation. It's about how do we create aviators.
Yeah, absolutely. When I look back now and I see, the opportunity maybe wasn't there for me at the time. There was no sort of educational route really that I felt was suitable for me. And it's why it's so important now, looking back, you're right, inspiring people and saying, when you come through the airport, not just thinking of holidays, but thinking of careers, because it really is a viable career path. But I don't think, still to this day, I don't think we're seeing enough skill coming through. And it's part of my job, I need to make sure that I'm really pushing forward that, going out, talks like this help, letting people know what's out there, and that it is a fantastic career. Some days it does feel like coming to work, but other days it feels like, when we're sat here having these conversations, when I'm speaking with students, I'm enjoying myself. There's no doubt about it.
You're an amazing advocate for aviation and for the relationship, this kind of collaborative aspect between what academia can do and what sector can do. And I think that's imperative, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? I'm not going to be here forever. Nobody is. So it's important for me that the legacy that I leave is fantastic people behind me, because we're not here forever. I've seen some fantastic people in aviation, come and go over the years, and they really leave that lasting impact on me, that person that gives you that first opportunity. And I'm determined that there'll be a couple of people, when I'm not here anymore, saying that was the girl, that went out of the way to give me that opportunity. And that's what we're here for. It's part of the reason why we're here.
You mentioned you worked on check-in. Do you remember your first flight, or where it was to and what the passengers were doing?
Yes. So I was on BMI regional check-in, checking in passengers to Brussels, and I was the most scared. When I couldn't even type, your hands are shaking so bad. I couldn't type, and I just remember looking at this system, which back in the day was coded. So, remember all these codes and trying to get everything right. And there's, people sit there and think, checking in a flight is easy. You've got to consider weight and balance, dangerous goods, special requirements. There's so much that goes into it that I don't think people always appreciate or understand. And I remember sitting there thinking, they're going to sack me week one. This is not going to be a success. I felt passionately about that. And a couple of weeks went by, and you start helping other people, and things start becoming really familiar. And for me, because I first started working at a regional airport, there's really that sense of family. So the support was huge for me. So, yes, the nerves were there, and, there's pressure to deliver, because aircraft have to leave, and they have to leave on time, and they have to leave with, happy customers, but also customers that are safe. But there was a real pressure, but the vibe that you get at a regional airport is you just can't describe it. It really is a family, friends.
Yeah, I agree.
You're here more than you're at home. So for me, the support really drove me forward.
It's an amazing office, really, isn't it? The airport is an amazing place to work. It's an amazing office.
It is.
So being head of operations, you see a lot, I would imagine.
Yes.
And having fulfilled many roles as well, I suppose that helps you understand perhaps if a colleague's having a difficult day, or helping out, or literally, I've seen you working in the cafe. That's how much of a team player you are.
Yeah, no, I do. I think it's important, if somebody needs serving in the cafe, then, and, my colleague's busy, I'm doing it. That's the reality. And I guess there's kind of two prongs to my role, really. And the first one is the live on the day operation. So it's everything that's going on right here, right now. And, it's not me that does that. It's my managers and it's my teams, and it's making sure that I provide them with the right resource and the right facility and the right training to make sure that they can do, what I'm asking of them. But then the other side is the strategy. So where are we now? Where have we been, which is really important, and where do we want to be? Because that is so crucial for us now, the stage that we're at and the stage of our growth. We need to make sure that we're on the right track. So yes, while I have one hat on where I'm like, what's going on today? Are we seeing flights go on time? Is everything going to plan? What's the staffing like? But beyond that, it's thinking, next month, next year,
exactly.
the next 5 years, how's that going to look, for us?
That's really interesting, and I think that's a very significant thing. You kind of intimated a little bit about regional airports and the strategic role of them. So what do you think really are the significant challenges that regional airports such as Teesside are going to face in the next 5 years?
So I think for us specifically, and I can only talk for our situation, it's going to be sustainability. And that's we talk about that in two ways really. We talk about financial sustainability. So for us, we're working on a 10-year turnaround plan that is on track, and we're full steam ahead. The stuff going on behind the scenes to make sure that it's a success is incredible. But then also, sustainability of the industry. COVID was a huge hit for us, and I know we don't like to talk about it sometimes, but we have to learn from it, and the sustainability of making sure that the industry will thrive this year has been the busiest year for most airports in a really long time. And what we've seen is people are really ready to go back on the holidays. They're really ready to travel, and making sure that we've got fantastic infrastructure and that the routes are there, that we are well prepared. And then I guess the third sort of sustainability angle for us would be environmental sustainability. So how do we move forward? What projects are we working on? Because it all sort of loops back round, because then we're talking back to financial sustainability. What do we invest in? Do we invest in the right environmental projects to make sure that we're here, we're financially sustainable, but that we do the right thing?
And it's that triangulation, isn't it? And understanding which is the most significant part of sustainability. Talking a little bit about that, and what do you see are the keynote priorities? Where do you think inherently they should go? Are we looking for skills sustainability, for example?
Yeah, absolutely. There has to be put into every area for me. I would say if we're talking about my role and how it impacts my day to day, it's looking at what we do now and how we adapt that. Have we got the skills in the right area? So we talk about moving on with sustainable technology, and even down to, I'm working on a project at the moment where we're looking at hydrogen vehicles. But we've also got to make sure that staff are skilled to operate those hydrogen vehicles. So for us, we've really taken the approach of bringing the teams on board. So we're doing loads and loads of research at the moment around what vehicles do we currently operate, what do they need them to do, how could they be better, so that when we're working with our partner on this hydrogen project, that not only do we just go, there's a vehicle, it's hydrogen powered, and off it goes. It's not the point. It really isn't the point. It's like half of the job for me.
Fully immersive,
absolutely. Does it still do what it needs to do for that end user? So we've got approximately about 20 staff members that in their own time have volunteered to take part in studies,
that's
surveys,
interesting.
with the partner to look at what does that vehicle really need to have. And it sounds silly, but actually, if it's not right when it starts, then that financial sustainability, you might as well close the door on, because you've invested time, commitment, money into a project that needs to work.
You can't have this myopic view. You have to think about, not cut and pasting and putting various equipment in place. You've got to think about that overview and the longevity of it. You've got it all going on here. It's really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of my favourite projects at the moment, because it's new to me. I'm learning. When I started in aviation, sustainability really wasn't on even
it wasn't
the top
a thing.
10.
No.
But now we have Criteria, we have Waypoint, we have all of these really important strategies. And to be at the leading edge of that is really imperative, isn't it?
Absolutely, it is. So I make sure that I'm at the forefront of conversations. If we're making any changes, it has to be for the right reasons, and the environmental impact is huge. And there's still a long way to go. I'm not sat here pretending that it's perfect, but we are really keen to be the driving force behind cutting edge technologies, projects, to make sure that we are at the forefront. And if it's there and it's there to be trialled, we're keen. If it's right, we'll give it a go.
How do you see then, if I was to if I said to you here and now, package up your vision for Teesside Airport, what would it be?
So for me, this is going to sound really corny, but it's true, so I'm going to say it anyway. For me, it's the people. We have a real responsibility at Teesside Airport to make sure that this airport works for the region. That's what it's about. That's what it comes down to. None of these projects, none of it makes sense without considering what actually the end goal is. And the end goal is to make sure that there is real investment opportunity, there is opportunities for people to support local skills, local jobs. We recruit and we make sure that, how many times have I picked up the phone to you and gone, I'm really struggling for this department, where can I find really talented people? So it's about the region, it's about the people of the region, but it's about careers, it's about our staff, it's about providing them with the opportunity. That's the reality. So whatever we do, whatever projects we work on, whether it be sustainability, whether it be terminal development, whether it be the wider estate development, which is
vast, right?
Yeah.
Huge at the moment. It's so exciting, but we don't select projects and we don't work on areas unless we think there is a specific value to the airport and actually to the region. There's no doubt about that. We sit around the table together and we look at the pros and cons of everything. What is right, and is it right, and is it right for now? That's,
you can tell talking to you, and I know we have experience together. You live your values.
Yeah,
they are lived values, and the idea that you're investing in the local community is inherent. If I can say, our relationships between the students here and being here at the academy, actually next to the operational hub of everything, it's invaluable. So absolutely.
But let's be honest, it does come from a slightly selfish perspective as well, because
the
talent that I then, there's a mutual relationship there. Absolutely, we want to be really engaged with yourselves and we work together really closely. But the reality is, the airport takes that skill. We look at those students and we go, they are the future for us. Skill is difficult across the industry at the moment. There's national conversations around air traffic control shortages, engineering shortages. So it's in my best selfish interest to make sure that we give back that time and we invest in yourselves, and wider education. We have tours of 4-5-year-olds coming around.
I just love it. I've seen them in their high vises. I love it.
We can't do that every day. We're an airport, but actually it's, I think back to that 12-year-old being that we spoke about earlier, and I go, it took me to get to that age to really be, inspired. We worked with the school not that long ago, and they said most of the children within the class had never been to an airport, never dropped anyone off at an airport. And I just think, 5, 6, but it's that first little glimpse, and it's the hook,
It is
for them, and it's for us, it's incredibly important.
Yeah, sense of community is incredibly important.
Yeah, absolutely.
The amount of people that want to work at an airport or in aviation is vast. And as a passenger, you do see when the crew come in with their uniform, but actually a lot of young people now are aspiring to fulfill your role as well as being a female boss, if you like, having this oversight of how the airport is operationalised on a daily basis. And with that comes challenges.
Yeah, it does.
And what do you think, Chloe, have been some of your biggest kind of challenges that you perhaps professionally have had to face in aviation, but also maybe the airport as well?
There's no secret. If I want something, I'm gonna give it my best shot. But that doesn't come without its barriers. For me, I've been incredibly lucky that I've worked around talented people. There's nothing I've done or I've achieved that hasn't been because of fantastic people, men and women. I've had some amazing mentors, but there's no lie, there's financial barriers within the industry, not here at Teesside per se as such, but when we're talking about the wider industry, there's always barriers. There's so many things we would like to do. There's a million and one things that I could do out there tomorrow, that would put the passenger at the forefront of what we do, but there's always going to be that barrier there. We can't do everything that we want to do. So I've had to learn the hard way over the years that strategies is important. What's the first priority? Because if you do something the wrong way around, you're going to fall down. And I have, in my career, not everything's been being perfect, but having a fantastic team around you, which, you know, I'm going to sing the praises of my colleagues now. They are incredible. If I don't know the answer, then there's a person sat next to me that will stay behind here till 7 o'clock at night, and they'll really thrash it out with me, and we'll figure it out together. That is, I'm not a singular person here, and nor is any of my colleagues. We work together.
But doesn't that, Susanna, say a lot about the culture that you've created here for colleagues to want to stay behind and thrash it out? And
even on the shop floor, you know, I talk about us sat in the office looking at strategy, but even my team out there, if there's a flight delayed, they are not leaving those passengers, and I can't, you know, you can't buy that, you can't train that. It's in them, you know, and I can't give them enough credit for that. You know, things are not always perfect. I work in operations, you know. We see delays, we see disruption, we see happy people, we see unhappy people. I can't make 100% of the people who come through this airport happy, but my God, are we going to try? You know, that, and they do. And it's not me out there sat on check-in dealing with those customers. It's my team. And one thing I stand by is the care. You know,
it comes back to what we were saying, it's living those values. It's making sure that they're not just something that's non-tangible, it's something that's intrinsic to everything you do. And I think that emanates from the fact that you would get your hands dirty, you will go and
lead from the front.
Because it's really important, and particularly to the passenger and to the staff watching. That moment is significant, isn't it? That's that time.
And I guess there's definitely, you know, we talked about the C word again, we talked about COVID, but that in itself was such a challenge for us, and it continues to be, because yes, people going back on holiday and there's planes back in the air, but there was a knock of confidence for people within the industry, and even for us as employees trying to figure out new rules, new documentation, new process, new procedure, keeping passengers safe, but then considering, you know, I want to get them on this flight to wherever for whatever reason they need to travel, but then I need to keep my colleague next to me safe. You know, that was a huge for me when we talk about challenges, one of the most challenging times of my career, and we still see that to this day. You know, I speak to parents who talk about their children wanting to come into aviation and say, but you know, is it the most secure job? There is. And that, you know, we carry that with us, and I say, you know, there will always be a place for air travel. You know, it's definitely got to move with other industries in terms of being at the forefront of environmental issues. We know that, and we're doing lots of work towards that. But there will always be a spot for it, and it's about, I guess, reassuring people that, you know, we came out the other side of it and we're as strong as we have been. But I can't deny, you know, I do speak to parents, you know, teachers, students, and there's always a little bit of nervousness around
sometimes
security.
that reticence is good because it shows that people are taking it on board. But I think the aviation sector has always lived in a dynamic environment, and our agility is probably one of our better skills.
The bounce back.
The bounce back, absolutely, or the opportunity to always look for a solution. And I think it's one of the reasons our working relationship hopefully is so efficacious. It's the idea is, what's the skills you need? Let's be preemptive. And so what would you sort of say are the most enjoyable aspects of your role?
What is the thing I enjoy the most about work? There's no secret here. I do quite the journey to get to Teesside Airport.
Tell the listeners and the viewers this is the commitment this lady has. Where do you drive from?
I love the Tees Valley, but you can I'm a Yorkshire girl.
Yep.
So I was born and grew up in Leeds, but I'm a Wakefield girl now. So about an hour and a half each way for me each day. And I always say, people always pull that face. Everyone always goes like, oh, an hour and a half. But actually, I love my job. Like, I genuinely, you know, when the alarm goes off,
love it.
Maybe it's more tricky. But when I'm in the car and I'm thinking, this is what I've got on today, and this is what I'm going to do, and this is what I'm going to try, I genuinely, legitimately love most aspects of my job. And I know a lot of people don't say that. I am aware I am exceptionally lucky. You know, not many people can say that. But for me, what brings a smile to my face the most is when I look through our inquiries inbox, because the amount of praise that we see for my team, honestly, I've never seen anything like it for an airport. Like I said before, you can't keep everybody happy, but some of the emails that we receive from people, or some of the Facebook messages that I look through, are like I've never seen before, and it makes me immensely proud. Some of the team that we've got out there, the things that they've done to go above and beyond, you know, in some cases life and death, actually.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And when they're going through things themselves, we're human, we work at an airport, but everybody's got things going on at home. And when we sometimes see the emails come through and we get to recognise people by giving them Employee of the Month, or, sending them off for a spa day as a thank you, it's that recognition for people. And that's the thing for me when customers writing in, they say, you've done the right thing. That's, for me, that is the best thing about my role. And seeing an aircraft leave on time. that is also
the passengers. The passengers would agree with that. Absolutely.
Separate diverts wouldn't go miss that, would they?
Absolutely. But seeing them being grateful for what my team have done, it makes me.
But that's essential.
It makes me proud.
Invariably, airlines and airports are homogenous, aren't they? Yeah. It's the culture, it's what you create, it's the environment. And you certainly have that here at Teesside.
Yeah.
It feels like a family.
Oh, it is.
Why do you think that is?
Do you know what I think it is? It's because not everything's easy for us. We've got this plan, we've got this vision, and it's on track, but nothing's ever without its setbacks. It's really not. So when you're with people from sometimes, silly o'clock in the morning, I got home at midnight last night, and that's because, not because of me, because all of my colleagues, staying behind, making sure we had our first FedEx operation.
How exciting is that?
Oh, and it was, a lot of work in the making from every single area. But, everybody stayed behind. Everyone was here to make sure that there was no barriers to that operation, which means that, you get home at daft o'clock on a night. But the feeling of I guess teamwork, and again, I know it sounds really cheesy, but that feeling of something that we've delivered together, and we finished work last night. We all sat down, we all had dinner together. Sat down, had dinner. We had dinner together, and then we were like, right, up we get now. Time to work, and make sure that we can show such big industry players like FedEx that we can rival some of the bigger airports. We're a small regional airport, but if you bring the business here, then my team's job in operations is to deliver it, and last night I felt we did a really good job.
It's excellent, that, isn't it?
Of that, so
superb, outstanding, absolutely.
It was a big one for us.
Big milestone.
One of many bigs, though, I think.
Absolutely.
This airport's doing so extremely well with some of its awards as well.
It is, another probably really proud moment of my career. We won a couple of awards last year, recognising the effort that we've gone to make sure that we do things very differently. Again, it's that recognition that while small,
small and mighty.
We can make
Chloe.
that impact. Absolutely.
Small and mighty.
And that just goes to show such a big player like FedEx having that faith and saying, actually, you know what, we'll take our operation at a much bigger airport and we'll move it to Teesside. That's a big leap of faith in us and what we do. The days where it pays off, like yesterday's, is
I think
sigh of relief for me.
Breathe, more cargo to come in the region, more prospects, more employment.
Absolutely.
I think for somebody like myself and Susanna, we've been based at this airport. You as crew, me working for Service Air many years ago. The transformation is unbelievable, isn't it? Like, seriously unbelievable in terms of the infrastructure hasn't really changed in terms of it all being on one level. That's always been a real key selling feature, hasn't it, of this airport?
Kind of intimacy, isn't there? Not having it so sprawled about.
But just the feel of it, you come in, you know where to go, you don't have to navigate around lots of barriers. It's just a great passenger experience, isn't it?
And beyond that, it's about, they come in and you're right, we strive to make sure that it is as seamless as possible. That's my job, to make sure that happens. But when you see people coming through, and they may be travelling to Nairobi or India, and you think, they're coming through this little airport and they are going all over the world. And when people say, oh my God, that was so much easier than I anticipated, turning up 4 or 5 hours before check-in, because they think that there's going to be this stressful airport experience, and we kind of have to sort of reteach them that here we're trying to do things a little bit different. No one's claiming to be perfect, but that is what we are aiming for. If we can make it the best experience possible, then customers are going to come back, and then that's our longevity. If people are actively looking to fly from our airport. You know, I see comments of people on social media saying, I am specifically looking at where I can go on holiday from Teesside. I know that we are doing something right when people are saying that, and if they're not, then we need to be better. You know, we hear lots of people at the moment, you know, there's no, people are not shy about the fact that they're ready for a Malaga now. You know, they're saying they want it, and it's our job to go out and get it now, because what they're saying is we're having to go to other airports to see that, you know, to go on that holiday, and we want to use Teesside. So we've heard them.
You're listening.
We're always listening.
What is just on that, it's interesting, what is the most asked for route?
Malaga.
Is it Malaga?
Malaga without
Isn't that interesting?
Everyone has their own, you know, for me, I'd love a route to Orlando every week, you know, because everyone has their own preference. Yeah. But there is absolutely no denying, you take one look on our Facebook page and it's Malaga. It's Malaga. We hear it, you know, and we've worked on a model of, you know, when we introduced Ryanair into the airport, it was for us to bring that low-cost carrier in was a really big achievement for us, but actually we've tried to make sure that we grow at the right pace, at a manageable pace, at the right time, the right growth at the right time, and Malaga is
what would yours be, list. Susanna?
Gosh, maybe New York.
New York?
Yeah, Los Angeles.
I mean, to be fair, we say this, you could get on that KLM tomorrow and be in New
York,
Susanna.
And I do.
Well, you know, it would be a little bit easier than Heathrow. I have just my personal experience to go that way rather than south.
We are coming through, and we are using KLM. And I am going off to Sweden. So it's fantastic for that. I mean, I've got a great affection for this airport.
Ask me what my route would be.
Sorry, Bear.
Go on.
What would yours be?
Krakow.
Oh, well, of course.
To be fair, Bev tells me all the time.
You know.
But that's for, honestly, there's no huge heuristic opportunity for that. That's basically because Bev wants to do some research. That's what it is.
Krakow, honestly.
And this is the thing, this is what I say, everyone has their own thoughts on what it would look like and what it would be and where they would like to go. But, you know, we have to make sure that it's the right routes for the right demographic.
That's a vote of one. If you keep seeing loads of Facebook notifications, it's just Bev.
It's just
all
Bev
night.
wanting Krakow.
Krakow viewers and listeners, Krakow.
But yeah, we do, you know, it's important that we do take note of these voices, and we do. We have a team within our commercial department that pay real attention to what are people searching for online, what are people not just commenting what they want, but, you know, what are the hits, where are people looking at, where are the travel trends, where are people travelling to, where have people consistently travelled to. It's really important that we just get the right airlines and the right routes, and it has to come at the right time.
And it has to be a blend, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It's making sure that, as you say, all of those things that line up, there's some kind of legacy to it, as well as I said before.
Absolutely.
I'm going to bring us back a little bit, obviously, because I know we've talked quite a lot. We've spent sort of 18 months on something talking about a particular thing.
Yes.
But what advice would you give a student aspiring to come to work at an airport in your role?
I would say find somebody that you think is inspirational and take all the best bits from them. I have spent my career looking at, I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to blow his trumpet on camera, but one of my managers, I see some of the things that he does, and I go, oh my God, I like that about him, and try and like integrate that into my work. There's been some fantastic female leaders that I've worked with over the years. The first manager that made me a manager was such an inspirational woman, and I just, every time I think of how I could maybe improve my skills, I look back to what she did. And I guess don't take no for an answer. Like, I've always been like, if I want the job, then I'm going to work so hard that there's when that role is available, you kind of feel like you have to give it to me because I'm doing it, you know. So making sure that you don't take no for an answer and put yourselves up for opportunities that maybe, you know, don't always feel beneficial to you at the time. You might think, oh, you know, that's going to take a bit more of my time, you know, my spare time, take me away from home a little bit. But putting yourself forward for a project and working on something that maybe isn't naturally something that you would lean towards is, you'll learn more
Not being frightened of like a challenge. Putting yourself
Oh,
in
we
that
love a
place.
challenge in aviation, don't we?
When I
We have modules about challenges, I'm sure. It's just a seamless plug there.
And we see them. When I started at Teesside, the commercial aspect to my career, while there's a commercial aspect to everything, but I'd never really worked within a commercial department. And now I run car parks and food and beverage. And that is something that probably if you'd have spoke to me 5-10 years ago and said, you'll be looking at cafe takings and passenger spends at bars and car park offers and things. I'd be like, oh my God, I don't want to do that. But actually what I have learned is incredible. Like the skills I've learned from doing something that naturally, my bread and butter is aircraft, turnaround, check-in, pushback, that's my runways, aprons, that's what I do and know. But actually now some of my favourite
business
part
aspect
of
it,
my job is the commercial aspect of actually none of that happens without making sure that we are financially sustainable. And sometimes when you're in a challenging situation, you have to be more creative,
It's important to have that overview, isn't it?
Yeah,
do you think then, as a female, it's been more difficult? Do you think the glass ceiling still exists, or is that just some sort of trope that's still out there?
I have such an unusual view on this one. Yes and no. I don't think inherently any part of who I am has ever prevented me getting where I am. But have I occasionally met people that maybe have felt differently?
Yeah.
Yes. It would be wrong of me not to say that. But some of my biggest champions in my career have been men. So, it's like everything.
It's really great to hear.
You see the good and bad in people, I've had somebody say to me, look, I'm really sorry. I maybe didn't approach a situation in the best way because I really struggled to take direction from a female leader. I've seen that in my career. They've said it to me.
Wow.
But then my biggest champions have been, my manager is a man, and he will champion me for any opportunity. For if there's something going on, he's like, she can do it. She's fantastic.
Trust.
Yeah,
and talent will out, won't it?
He's an absolute fantastic mentor. So yes and no. I don't think there's no straight answer. There's still some barriers, but I don't think any woman that wants to get out there and do my job, or be a CEO, be a managing director of an airport, they can.
We'll work shadow, Chloe.
Yeah,
won't
absolutely.
We'll
You don't want to
work shadow you. I'll clean the toilets and do the food and beverage. What would you like to do, Susanna?
I'm going to marshal an aircraft. Come on, just let me do it. I'm sure I can do what I'm doing.
Listen, I can't say there's not been, I've not come across it before in my career, but generally speaking, both men and women have championed me and
It's really
are my
good to
mentors.
hear.
So,
It's good. It's good to hear.
it's a difficult conversation to have.
And what do you think we should be doing then? Not necessarily marshalling an airport. I've already got Bev earmarked for the toilets, don't worry.
We would have you for a job tomorrow.
Yeah. Where would you see us? No, generally, what do you think universities should be doing? Because it's one of our kind of strategies, isn't it? What do you think universities should be doing to best prepare students for aviation?
Good question.
I'm very lucky. We work fantastically close together, as we do with lots of local colleges, schools, etc. But you guys really have, Susanna specifically, you have a real drive to make sure that you are tailoring what an airport needs to your students. It's not about saying this is what aviation is and this is what people do. It's about where are the skills shortages and what do you as an employer see as the most valuable skills that we can teach our students. We have, how many times have you stopped me in the terminal and you're like, I just want to ask you on this, because, and that's it, it's pushing forward to make sure that industry work with you,
100%.
Making sure that, being here helps because you are literally round the corner from us and can ask us a question at any time, but making sure that you have a really good working understanding of airports and what their challenges are. We see huge skills gaps in specifically engineering and air traffic at the moment, and we've had loads of conversations around what types of skills people need, because you don't need to be an air traffic controller, to learn the air traffic control role. It can be any person from any background with the want, the desire and the knowledge. So we work really closely together where I say these are the types of people that are successful and these are the types of skills that they have. And then on top of that, of us obviously working with the students, so taking them out, showing them the environment.
They love it.
It's that minutiae, isn't it?
They love it.
It creates a validity really to everything. And thank you as well for saying such wonderful things. It does look like I kind of fed that just to make me look good.
Yeah, and no wonder I get the toilets. But honestly,
I'm try to marshal that aircraft. Just give me one opportunity.
It's just staying one step ahead of like what we need, because the reality is we're a business and we need skill. And you would be doing a disservice if you didn't make sure that your students in the room are learning what they need to learn to be successful in role. And we're very lucky that we have that partnership, because it means when I need somebody, I can pick up the phone and say, this and these are the areas we need you guys to be working on for jobs in 4, 5, 10 years time.
There's got to be that integrity, hasn't there? That we've got to be producing that integrity as well.
We have to absolutely be teaching what the industry needs.
In
Otherwise,
the next 5 years. We had a conversation earlier about AI and various things, haven't we? And we've got hopefully plans to make a stronger bond between the university and Teesside Airport as well. So absolutely imperative, I think. Absolutely.
Yeah. I think we've grilled the head of operations enough.
Do you really? I've got loads of questions about.
Well, should we start the interview then?
Yeah, we'll start the interview.
Should we
start? That was the warm-up, I hope you don't mind.
But you can talk further. Chloe, honestly, you're an absolute legend, ambassador.
That's not true, but thank you.
No, it's not just on
are
this
brilliant.
occasion. It's completely through lots and lots of iterations of dealings with yourself and every member of the airport that we've come across. I mean, I accosted somebody again today and asked them to come for a guest lecture. And the thing is, there's such an open sort of door opportunity here, and I think that is part of the success because it's led from your management style and the management style and the ethos that's there. But absolutely, I'd just like to echo my thanks for allowing us to grill you today.
No, anytime,
Well done, Chloe, and thank you so much. We love Teesside.
Thank you for having me.